Today we're going to count down 10 of the smallest American tractors you probably never knew existed. Let's dive in and revisit the golden era where small but mighty really meant something. Number 1's the John Deere 110. Unveiled in 1963, the John Deere 110 is widely hailed as a machine that launched John Deere into the thriving lawn and garden tractor scene of the 1960s. Initially powered by a 7-horsepower Kohler engine, the 110 quickly grew in popularity, with later models pushing engine ratings of 8, 10, and eventually 11 horsepower. The concept was straightforward. Take Deere's agricultural expertise and condense it into a small and reliable tractor built for private lawns and small acreage tasks. A key highlight was the rear hitch system and the wide range of attachments offered: snow throwers, tillers, rotary mowers, and more. Suddenly, weekend lawn care wasn't just about cutting grass. Homeowners now could manage basic landscaping, cultivate gardens, and even push light snow, all with one friendly green and yellow machine. For folks who'd always admired John Deere's brand but didn't have a giant farm, this was a perfect gateway into the iconic Deere and Plow Club. Now, because the 110 stayed in production, with updates until the mid-70s, it became a staple in suburban garages across America. Brand loyalty ran high. Many 110 owners eventually graduated to larger John Deere models as their acreage or needs expanded. The tractor's cultural significance can't be overstated. It represented the democratization of Deere's quality engineering, bridging the gap between professional farm machinery and the backyard gardener. Modern collectors treat the 110 like a treasured piece of Americana. Find one at a tractor show or see a neighbor still mowing with it, and the memories come flooding back. The hum of the engine on a summer afternoon, the sense of pride in owning something that bore the famous Deere name. All told, the John Deere 110 encapsulates the best of nostalgic small tractor culture. Number 2 is the Cub Cadet Original. Now, when International Harvester introduced the Cub Cadet Original in 1961, they aimed squarely at suburban homeowners who needed more than just a walk-behind mower, but not a full-blown farm tractor. Sporting a 7-horsepower Kohler K161 engine, the Cub Cadet Original packed surprising muscle into a neat and compact frame. This model ran until '63, and during that short span, IH managed to build over 59,000 units, proof about how quickly it caught on. Now, one key factor was its heavy-duty construction. Unlike many garden tractors that use lighter stamped steel frames, the Cub Cadet featured a welded steel chassis that was robust enough to handle ground-engaging implements. Owners quickly realized that they could plow snow, cultivate gardens, and even haul decent loads without overstressing the machine. Another notable point was the gear drive transmission, a sturdy design that outlasted many simpler belt-driven systems of that time. Culturally, this little powerhouse played a big role in shaping the modern lawn and garden tractor market. As suburban sprawl accelerated in the 60s, families discovered that they wanted a machine that could keep large lawns trimmed, assist with minor landscaping, and possibly cultivate a vegetable patch out back. The Cub Cadet Original perfectly filled that niche. You'll find devoted collectors who can identify an original from a glance at the distinctive rear fenders and the no-nonsense grille. Today, enthusiasts preserve and restore these tractors like prized antiques. Some go as far as to add modern twists, upgraded engines, hydraulics, or even custom paint jobs. But at the core, the Cub Cadet Original remains a snapshot of American ingenuity, an era when a simple but well-built garden tractor could transform yard work from a chore into a source of pride. Number 3 is the Economy Power King. Originally introduced by Engineering Products Company in 1946, the Economy brand steadily gained traction through the 50s, 60s, and even beyond. Often called the Power King, these small tractors were famed for their robust construction. Early models typically featured about 12 to 14 horsepower engines that were sourced from Briggs & Stratton or Kohler, harnessed to a straightforward belt and pulley drive system. Although the horsepower might sound modest, the Power King's torque and durability allowed it to tackle tasks that many standard lawn tractors just couldn't quite handle. A major selling point was the tractor's do-it-yourself friendliness. Farmers and homeowners alike appreciated that they could service the Economy Power King in their own garages. Whether it was replacing belts, adjusting the carburetor, or even customizing attachments, the design encouraged hands-on ownership. One of the big draws was versatility. A Power King could manage small plows, rear tillers, blade attachments for leveling dirt or snow, and a variety of mowing decks. Now, this adaptability made it a favorite for folks with a few acres that needed just one machine who could handle multiple chores throughout the year. Cultural impact came from its approachable price point. Owning a mini tractor wasn't out of reach for your average working family. Now, while the brand name shifted and evolved over the years, the economy Power King's legacy endures through enthusiasts who keep the machines humming to this day. Vintage tractor shows often feature a lineup of freshly painted Power Kings, each with a proud owner eager to share stories about what they accomplished with this no-nonsense rig. For many, it's more than just a tractor. It's a piece of American manufacturing heritage that exemplifies the era's can-do spirit. Number 4 is the Panzer T70. In the late 70s and early 60s, Copar, which was later Pennsylvania Lawn Products, unveiled the Panzer line of small tractors, with the T70 series standing out as the fan favorite. Manufactured in Virginia initially and then shifting to Pennsylvania, Panzer tractors were initially recognizable for their heavy steel frames and wide stance, which provided stability well beyond what most garden tractors could offer. Typically powered by a 7 or 8 horsepower Briggs & Stratton or Tecumseh engine, the T70 was belt-driven with a simple but robust transmission setup. That reliability turned heads. Owners could rig up these machines with snow blades, cultivators, or even homemade attachments, confident that the thick steel and well-designed transaxle could take a beating and keep running. Now, for many small property owners, the T70 caught a perfect balance between affordability and ruggedness. Now, some folks even used them for small-scale farming tasks, especially in areas where space was a bit tight and the land was segmented. The Panzer's low-slung design made it less prone to tipping on uneven ground, which added to its appeal. Nostalgia for the T70, and just Panzer in general, runs deep. Restoration clubs abound, where members trade parts, paint tips, and old service manuals. You'll see often a bright blue Panzer T70 at a vintage tractor event. Its distinctive silhouette, a testament to a time when American companies took pride in over-engineering their products for maximum durability. Culturally, the Panzer's story is one of homegrown ingenuity, a small company turning out machines that, despite their modest size, earned a nationwide fan base. For that reason alone, the Panzer T70 remains a cherished piece of tractor history. Number 5 is the Wheelhorse Suburban. Now, when people think of early American garden tractors, Wheelhorse often comes to mind. Founded by Elmer Pond in the mid-1940s, this Indiana-based company churned out some of the most sought-after small riding tractors in the post-war boom. Among its various lines, the Suburban models from the late 50s and 60s helped define what a suburban yard machine could really be. These weren't just glorified lawnmowers, they were rugged, belt-driven mini tractors that were capable of plowing snow, tilling gardens, and hauling small trailers. Horsepower on these Suburban models range from about 4 to 8, delivered by engines from manufacturers like Kohler or Clinton. The hallmark was simplicity, a no-frill, sturdy design that homeowners can maintain without needing specialized tools. Another big plus was the adaptability. Attachments for snow blowing, cultivating, and mowing all turned the Suburban into an all-season helper. Culturally, Wheelhorse snagged a solid chunk of the rising Suburban market. By the 60s, more middle-class families owned homes on quarter-acre lots or slightly larger properties, which made the need for a maneuverable, reliable garden tractor skyrocket. Wheelhorse marketing leaned on that sense of suburban pride. Pictures of dads trimming the lawn with a grin, the family pup trotting alongside. Despite the brand's eventual acquisition by Toro in 1986, many vintage Wheelhorse models, suburban or otherwise, are still running pretty strong. Collectors praise them for their durability and straightforward engineering. Go to a lawn and garden tractor show and you're almost guaranteed to spot a row of shiny red Wheelhorses. For many Americans, these little machines conjure images of calm summer evenings, the smell of fresh-cut grass, and a time when the biggest thrill was a quick spin around the yard with the kids in tow. Number 6 is the John Deere 330. Now, built exclusively in 1959, the John Deere 330 is a rare gem in the two-cylinder era. With just around 844 units produced, according to several historical registries, finding an original 330 on the market can be a bit of a challenge. Under its distinctive green hood lay a 91.3 cubic inch vertical two-cylinder engine generating about 18 horsepower at the belt. Although 18 horsepower might not blow away modern specs, it was plenty for a compact utility tractor in the late 50s. Now, John Deere's decision to pack so much efficiency into a petite frame signaled a broader industry trend. Farmers increasingly wanted multi-purpose machines that could handle a range of tasks without excessive bulk. With its 3-point hitch, the 330 could handle light plowing, mowing, and general yard chores, making it a versatile fit for small farms or as a fleet helper on bigger operations. The styling was just classic John Deere. Clean lines, bold colors, and an unmistakable stance. Now, while the 330 didn't get the decades-long production run of more famous models like the John Deere A or B, it left its mark as a transitional piece. It showcased the brand's willingness to innovate in smaller segments rather than just sticking to only large row crop designs. This approach resonated with landowners who didn't need or couldn't afford giant equipment. Today, the 330 is a nice collector's prize. Enthusiasts will pay top dollar for a well-preserved example because it merges two revered qualities. You got that iconic John Deere heritage and the uniqueness of a limited production run. Two things that collectors will certainly look for. Nostalgia also plays a big role. Seeing one is a snapshot of a moment in American ag history where small but efficient was beginning to take hold. Rare, refined, and undeniably cool, the 330 cements its place on any list of tiny American tractors worth remembering. Number 7's the Farmall Cub. Now, International Harvester introduced the Farmall Cub in 1947, but its real heyday stretched well into the 1950s, 60s, and even 70s. Now, over 3 decades of production means that you'll find plenty of folks who grew up learning to drive tractors on one of these little red marvels. Powered by a 4-cylinder C60 engine that delivered around 9.25 horsepower at the drawbar, the Cub was specifically built to excel on small farms, gardens, and orchards. Now, its compact footprint, just about 60 inches wide, let it navigate tight spaces. A valuable feature when farmland was parceled into smaller tracts or when families took up homesteading. Another defining characteristic was the offset engine design. By shifting the operator seat slightly to the right, Farmall allowed a clear line of sight to the row being worked. Cultivating and planting became much easier when you could see exactly what the front wheels and implements were actually doing. Now, thanks to its approachable size, the Cub gained a reputation as the perfect first tractor. It wasn't intimidating to handle, it didn't break the bank, and it still managed a range of tasks. From mowing the orchard to raking leaves or pulling a small wagon, the Farmall Cub lived up to its mantra of making farm life simpler. Culturally, the Cub's longevity speaks volumes. It saw America through post-war agricultural shifts, suburban expansion, and the evolution of the hobby farm. Today, collectors, small acreage owners, and just those who simply love vintage farm machinery hold the Farmall Cub in high esteem. Spotting one at a tractor show inevitably invites warm stories from people who remember driving it as a teenager or seeing it parked in Grandpa's barn. Its place in the pantheon of small American tractors is about as secure as it gets. Number 8 is the Allis-Chalmers G. Though production began in 1948 and wrapped up in 1955, the Allis-Chalmers G fully earns its place among iconic 1950s-era small tractors. Unlike most tractors of its day, the G placed its engine at the rear. Now, this unusual design gave the operator an unobstructed view of the row directly in front, making it particularly beloved for cultivating vegetables and other specialty crops. Now, under its sheet metal sat a modest but efficient Continental N62 4-cylinder engine producing around 10 horsepower. Now, while 10 horsepower might seem tiny, the G was all about precision. It excelled in delicate operations like weeding between rows of lettuce or carrots, where even a slight miscalculation could kind of ruin a yield. Now, despite being lightweight, around 1,300 pounds, it had a sturdy frame that could handle front-mounted implements like plows, seeders, and planters. Because it was smaller and more maneuverable than standard row crop tractors, the G helped small-scale farmers boost productivity on tight, intricate plots. The cultural impact also came from the fact that it was friendly for new or aging farmers who needed a tractor that they could operate comfortably with without wrestling an enormous machine. The G's success also paved the way for future specialized tractors that were aimed at niche agricultural tasks. Enthusiasts today continue to sing the praises of the Allis-Chalmers G. Many have been restored, and some have even been converted to electric power by modern hobbyists, a testament to how forward-thinking the original concept was. It's a rare example of a machine that combines simplicity, efficiency, and adaptability in a pint-sized format, making it a gem among America's smallest tractor offerings. Number 9 is the Massey-Harris Pony. Next up, we've got a charming little workhorse, the Massey-Harris Pony, produced from 1947 to 1957. Now, under the hood typically purred a 62 cubic inch Continental 4-cylinder engine that generated about 10 horsepower. Similar in spirit to offerings from competitors like Farmall, the Pony was engineered for small-scale tasks. No surprise, right? It was perfect for tight row crop situations, vegetable plots, and orchard work. Now, Massey-Harris recognized that thousands of families didn't need a huge piece of equipment to tend to just a couple of acres, so they gave the Pony a practical layout, an easy-to-service engine, and a small footprint that navigated narrow spaces with ease. Despite its diminutive stature, it can handle a variety of implements, from single-bottom plows to mowers and even planters. Now, culturally, the Pony served a burgeoning wave of smallholders, especially after World War II, when more people in rural and semi-rural areas were aiming to be more self-sufficient. It also found favor with market gardeners looking for a cost-effective way to mechanize their operations. Over time, these tractors grew into collectors' favorites, beloved for their simplicity and nostalgic appeal. Many enthusiasts compare that Pony's role to that of the Farmall's Cub, seeing them as parallel developments that made tractor ownership more accessible. Whether still chugging along on a small farm or just shining at a vintage machinery rally, the Massey-Harris Pony endures as a fond reminder of when modest horsepower could accomplish a real big task. Number 10 is the John Deere Model L. Although it debuted earlier than our typical 1950s to 80s focus, the John Deere Model L remains a foundational icon in the history of compact tractors. Produced from 37 to 46, it packed a horizontally opposed 2-cylinder engine of about 77.6 cubic inches. Drawbar horsepower hovered around 10, while belt power approached 14. Now, this might sound pretty modest by today's standards, but for its time, such power in a small frame was a pretty remarkable achievement. Now, one reason the Model L stood out was its versatility. John Deere realized that not all farmers wanted or needed massive row crop tractors. The Model L could handle small farms, orchards, and market gardens, performing tasks like cultivating, light plowing, and pulling wagons. Its compact design also made it ideal for maneuvering in tight spaces, a significant advantage for smaller-scale operations, particularly in the pre-war and post-war eras when land could be fragmented. Now, culturally, the Model L planted the seed for later John Deere lines, catering to smaller landowners. It broadened the brand's appeal beyond large-scale agriculture, foreshadowing a shift towards suburban and hobby farm markets in the subsequent decades. While larger John Deeres often do steal the spotlight, the Model L laid groundwork that would influence many of the compact tractor series to follow. Collectors prize it for its pioneering status and mechanical simplicity, a testament to how an unassuming machine can catalyze significant change. We hope you found this video helpful in rekindling warm memories of our farming and suburban heritage. And if you enjoyed taking this nostalgic trip through the 50s to the 80s, let us know which compact tractor you would love to drive today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more classic machinery spotlights and down-to-earth discussions on all things vintage and mechanical.